terminations, leaves of absence. I need a motion. Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Number 2, Schedule 2, appointments, tenure salary changes. I need a motion. Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Number 3, addendum schedule 1 and 2, appointments and resignations. Nothing in there, okay. New business discussion items. We need to discuss, we have to vote on number 2 and number 3. Is Ray Carter in the building? No. Okay. Table number 1.
You need an update on the coalition because Pepe and myself are here.
Well, let's first do number 2. Okay. Any discussion on number 2? Would any board member like to attend? Yes, I would like to attend. Okay, any other members? Okay, number 3. Right away? Okay, can we vote on that? One person attended, myself? Yay? Yay. 3 yeas. All right, number 3. The Refit annual meeting. Any discussion? Any comment? Anyone want to go?
What's the cost? It's on. The Refit. Cost of the Refit.
$60 a person.
Thank you.
No. All right. No one's going? Okay. No one's going? Okay. Do we need to discuss anything else?
High school.
Which one?
High school clubs.
Number 4, new high school clubs.
Mr. Costa's here.
Mr. Costa, come on down.
Mr. Costa.
Mr. Costa, sir.
It's hard to hear from back there.
Do you want to speak about the new high school clubs?
On the prices.
No? Okay, no problem.
Well, you have
Thank you for being here, Mr. Costa.
okay. You have in your packet in front of you two separate items from Mr. Costa. The first one is club procedures and expectations, which is something that Mr. Costa put together in order to.
Linda can't hear you.
Okay. So in the packet right now, Mr. Costa has put together club procedures and expectations, which is something that the Board of Education and the administration has asked him to do in order to raise the level of accountability on clubs and attendance for the children in the clubs. And the second part of your packet are the proposed new clubs that Mr. Costa would like to propose to you folks. One of them is the Science Olympiad, and the other one is the GSA GALA club. You'll see in that packet that the bylaws have been addressed by the students, and they were presented to Mr. Costa in an appropriate manner, which is part of the regulations also in your packet, just so that you're aware. The salmon-colored booklet are the regulations that govern clubs and their accounting, and our internal auditor has provided that for your edification. The 2 clubs that are presented tonight, the Science Olympiad and the GSA Gala Club, have been presented in accordance with those state regulations.
So where is the petition?
Can't hear you, Mylan.
Where is the petition of children that signed on to be
Can't
on the
hear you.
club?
They are attached to these packets.
I only see Science Olympiad.
And there's an explanation for that. The GSA Gala Club has been meeting actually for about 5 or 6 years, Mr. Costa,
That's correct.
under the auspices of the principal. So Mr. Murtha originally was running this club for no compensation. Mr. Costa picked that up this year, and then a teacher at the end of the year volunteered her time to meet with the kids. So there was no original petition because the club had been in existence for 5 or 6 years.
So does it have a charter? And is that bylaws?
The bylaws would be something that are part of this document. and the charter would come after you decide as a board that this is something that you would like us to pursue a stipend negotiation with the CTA if these two clubs are things that you're interested in funding.
So how am I to know how many kids are interested in this club? Because you gave us a list of children that attended the GSA. And I'm not singling that out for any particular reason, but there's 4 children. So I'd like to know, is there a lot of children that are interested? And I don't know that because I don't have a petition.
That's why Mr. Costa's here this evening.
I would love to address that.
Thank you.
And I'm going to assume that you're all looking at this sheet, Milo?
That's correct.
Okay. Part of the issues, can I speak off mic, is that all right? Part of the issues that we discovered this year is that this is one method of record keeping that we've kept since January moving forward. And I think this is a very valuable sheet because this sheet tells us what we need to fix. Now I'll give you an example. We're going to talk about the GSA, but I want to talk about the AHA Club before we go into GSA.
Can you use the microphone? Mr. Costa? With the microphone.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Referring to Athletes Helping Athletes, the AHA Club. On here, if you look where AHA met, total meetings 3 times, 100% inaccurate. Now, this information was gathered from some of the club photos that we had on file, so to speak, that we started gathering evidence. There was a system in place, it was a very loose system in place to gather information. What we gathered is what you see on this sheet. This sheet is not real. It's not reality of what goes on. Athletes Helping Athletes, I can tell you, met at least 3 to 5 times each in each middle school, not to mention all the meetings they had at the high school and the events that they ran at the high school.
I wasn't really focusing on amount of times. I just see there's a lot of students that are interested, so that wasn't a red flag for me. I wasn't really zoning in on the times they're meeting. I'm just zoning in on how many children are actually attending the clubs, because...
I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
Yep. So the meetings are supposed to represent or reflect the students as well that attend the meetings. 176 members of AHA, which is, I'd say, a little loose or maybe slightly above what really shows up for the meetings and the events. On the same token, the GALO, or GSA Club, has been meeting for 5 years under Greg Murtha, Richard Cheer, and then myself. At each meeting, I could attest, in my conference room where they held it, there was easily 10 to 15 students in my conference room at least a half a dozen times.
So then when you sent the sheet down, why didn't you reflect that as much?
Because
you
I'm going to get to that.
witnessed that.
I'm going to get to that. Because this sheet identifies some of the problems that we have in our own record keeping within high school. Now, I'm taking full responsibility for that, and we're changing and incorporating new protocols moving forward to address the concerns on that sheet specifically, because I know it's not accurate, and there's an issue with our own record keeping in the high school. That's why if you look at new club procedures and expectations outlined for the upcoming year, the record keeping, the attendance sheets, the minutes, everything involved in a club that we need to make an informed decision will be kept a lot more accurate on a regular basis. Now, there are guidelines, and as far as dates when things are going to be due, there'll be quarterly reports that will be furnished to the Board of Education, so you see who's meeting, when, what time, how many students, and what events they're doing. So this sheet that you have, yes, this is what we turned in, absolutely. And I look at this as a good thing, because now we know where the defaults are, what the defaults in the process is, and that's why we're going to correct it for the upcoming school year.
Okay.
So you have to, go ahead.
So you're coming in to present 2 clubs, Science and Olympiad, and I see there's roughly 70 kids that signed the petition.
Correct.
And then you have the other one, which I know it's been going on for years. I was just only questioning why there was only such little bit of kids attending that. And I know personally there's been a lot more, so I think that was inaccurate. But in the process, I've been studying other clubs and what other schools offer. And there was a couple of things that actually I personally thought was interesting, and that maybe you can go back to your children, or even find some of your own that you like to go back to your children. But what I'd like to see is, you know, some clubs that only have 2 or 3, maybe pair them and make room for other clubs that would have children be enticed to go and see. So one of the things that I saw on some of the districts is that they had mock trial. I know we offer that in the middle school. I'd love to see that at the high school, compete on that level at the high school. The other one that I saw was Youth Decide. Youth Decide would probably encumber a couple of those smaller clubs like MAD and the other anti-bullying, and maybe bring those kids together, and it's called Youth Decide. And it touches on all those particular topics, but it covers everything. Science Olympiad, I definitely support. I'm a big supporter for that. There's also what I saw in Jericho is that they have the engineering club, which it touches back on STEM, it's technology and science that meet together. I thought they do community projects. I mean, these were really great clubs.
Now, did that engineering club, do they also run the Science Olympiad?
It's two separate animals. Science Olympiad is one thing, this is something else. This combines science and technology in a different aspect. And actually, Jericho does offer Science Olympiad and engineering as two separate clubs in their building. So, I mean, just looking at that one school, they have offered some great things. So I'm just looking for opportunities for our children so that they can have different, like again, mock trial. That's something I would love kids to have. You're doing it at RMS, let's bring it up.
Absolutely, I was a mock trial advisor and I was a teacher, so I know the club fairly well.
So, I mean, I would love to see, again, just different opportunities for our students. I might, catch kids that, we haven't put on the radar yet. So I just wanted just a little bit of more variety for the clubs.
Okay.
And the budget is there, so.
Thank you.
Kenny, the GSA club is going to run minus a stipend still?
Nobody's asking for a stipend.
I'm asking for a stipend. I'm asking for the board to negotiate, have the ability to negotiate a stipend.
What was the money we gave them a couple of meetings back? We gave them extra money for clubs, didn't we?
Can't hear you.
Yes.
We moved it up to, I think we gave you about 10,000.
Right.
Can you please
No, it was roughly 6. Our,
So we rounded up to about 150, because it was originally 125, and then they added on 2 clubs, and then we added on another 2 clubs. So don't forget, we had the freshman awareness, which now is being a stipend being paid out, and then we added on the animal conservation and also comic book club. And then we added a 4th, did we not? Did we edit?
Civic.
Civic. Okay, civic and freshness are parallel to each other.
Correct.
So, right, so now
So these 2 clubs are on top of those clubs?
Correct.
They are, and the money that was allocated for these clubs is pending negotiation. If it's not there, then it
No,
goes
the
back
money-
into, no, I'm saying is,
We have 21 million.
you know what you do.
Yeah.
Mr. Costa, how many clubs are under your name?
Under my name, right now, just the GSA and the chess club,
Just the 2?
just the 2.
So they really run themselves? And there's no cost to the district?
Correct. And the student who ran the chess club since graduated, so I don't know if that's going to continue.
So I have another question. Those children that presented the Science Olympiad, what did you think of them?
I think they did a great job. Outstanding young men, presented it in a very mature manner.
No girls?
So do you think that, because those children actually didn't know the process, I told those children the process, do you think at some point in time, maybe at an open house, just try to educate the students and say, listen, I'm open to hearing new clubs, this is the process, and my door is open to hearing new suggestions?
Absolutely,
Because I don't think a lot of children know what the process was, or
absolutely.
is.
Yep.
Thank you.
Typically, I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of students will come down to me, say, Ms. Costa, I want to start X, Y, and Z club. What do I have to do? And then I pretty much go through the process with them.
Well, Intel now we have to Intel for a number of years, so I think we should have clubs related to that. Some of the clubs she mentioned are, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
So that would be, us moving forward.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you going to stick around for a little while?
I can.
Because actually, if Mike doesn't mind, so this way Mr. Costa can leave.
Can we just, I just want to close that topic, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay, sure.
At this point, I need advice from the board or the authority of the board to have Mr. Nucci and our legal counsel negotiate stipends for these 2 clubs. If you folks are interested in moving forward with these 2 clubs, I need to have that authority.
Yay for me.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. President, would you mind if we just skip to safe proms since Mr. Costa's here so we don't have to delay him any further? So, Mr. Costa, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we had, during our lovely building walkthrough, we had a brief conversation on safe proms. And you know my feeling on trying to keep our children safe. It really upset me to see some children not working on graduation last year, and I want to try to find preventive ways, but also exciting ways for our kids to have the safe prom bus, decorate the gym. I mean, you look at the statistics of how many kids die on prom night. I don't want us to be part of that statistic, so I really want to advocate for our children to be safe that night. So any thoughts on, having a safe prom?
Well, first of all, we absolutely have to address those issues with our student body. We need the student government advisors, the students, see what they think. get their opinion. What do they think is a safe prom? What protocols should be put in place to ensure, bless you, to ensure that every child is safe during the prom? We could even suggest to them if they wanted to do, like you were suggesting, with the busing. Logistically, there isn't a company on Long Island that can handle our bus load in one single evening. I had Mr. Sidney look into that. We'd have to use multiple companies if we were to get buses for the senior prom, excuse me. But I think the first step is having a conversation with the students, the advisors, and maybe some parent groups.
Well, the only thing is, we don't always ask the students. For example, the rocking horse trip, do the kids have an opportunity to pick something else? They don't.
In lieu of the rocking horse, if they want to vote.
They're only offered one choice. Either you go on the rocking horse trip or you don't. So we don't even.
That's not 100% accurate, because if the student population didn't want to go on that senior trip, and they brought up to their advisors, they could have a vote on that. And that would come to me, and it would come to you eventually. I'm sorry?
Is it opportunity to give it to them, or are they just general practice? Okay, we'll go to rocking
I think it's tradition at this point.
Right.
Whether they want to break from tradition is really up to them. But, yeah.
They don't have to pay.
No, I think Mom's asked if they have options. The option is really up to them, but it's been such a long-standing tradition here that I think that's what's expected. So I'm a sophomore, I see the seniors going. I'm a junior, I see the seniors going. Now I'm a senior, I want to go.
So getting back to the safe proms, maybe the kids would probably be in favor of doing the limousines. So, but I'm asking for those children to be safe, and as you can see, a lot of children did not make the right choice.
Correct.
Good kids made a bad choice. So to put this on the children to now make that decision, maybe we need to take the decision out of their hands and keep our kids safe. Because the last thing I want to do is be a statistic, Connetquot High School, senior driving home from prom. I don't want to be in the newspaper for that.
None of us
So I
do.
need to be proactive in keeping our kids safe.
Right.
3 years ago, Mr. Costa, I think 3 or 4 years ago, this came up. And we asked our student government sitting here in the dais, and they were not happy about the idea. But talk to the parents that there are 12 kids that couldn't walk this year because they signed a piece of paper saying they would not drink, and they drank. They were being punished, the parents are being punished, but they did something wrong. They drank and got drunk in the limo. So, 12 lives after 18 years could not walk. That's just minimum. I don't even know if there might have been more. And how many didn't get caught?
But 460 could.
I think
But how many didn't get caught?
the correct word is they're held accountable. They weren't punished. They were held accountable for their actions, and their parents were held accountable for their actions.
Correct.
I agree with Mr. Costa. We should ask the parents and the students what they would like to do with their
Well,
prom.
then we ask the parents too. Shouldn't
I
they
said
go
the
to
parents. I just said the parents. The parents and the students should be involved in the process of their prom. It's not my decision to make. I don't have a senior.
Listen, I don't want to take away good kids make bad choices. I was a good kid. I made bad choices too. But if I knew that this is my only option. And the other thing too is, what about those children that don't have the opportunity to be in a limousine? That they're 2 or 3 that are very close knit of friends. At least now you have everybody can join together. You make it a community event. You dress up the gym. Have the parents come down, so they're not just taking a picture of the 10 kids in the gym in their limousine. They're taking a picture of 50 kids, their friends and people they grew up with.
Kenny, I think you're right. If you're going to consider changing such a concluding event of a high school career, you need to have some consultation with the student body, especially those who have been elected to represent the student body, at minimum. At minimum.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Well, I'm sure this topic will come back again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any comment on recruiting at the high school?
Oh, that's you again.
You don't be going nowhere.
There was actually a concern that was brought to me by several parents, and they don't have any problem with military being present in the building. It's just the frequency of that. And what the concern is that colleges are not there as frequently as the military. So we need to offer these children happy balance. The military be there as much as as colleges. So when you see one entity only being represented, I'd like the kids to see different entities being represented, not just the one. And
Agreed.
And again, this is just parents speaking. I don't know this firsthand, but one in particular recruiter has taken the liberty of going into the lunchroom, going into the library, walking through the halls, like, you know, and I know that this is supposed to be contained area. Just that freedom of walking through the building and having children's phone number and driving children home. Again, this is what a parent brought to my attention. It just raised some red flags for me.
Right, we kind of discerned who that recruiter was. I spoke with that commanding officer.
Yes, I'll get to the person.
No,
Oh, you know who it is?
No, not necessarily. Took a shot in the dark.
Okay.
But I did speak with that individual's commanding officer, and that individual no longer follow those same protocols, if he comes back to the building.
Okay, so we're on the same page with
Address.
that.
Yep.
Good job, Mr. Costa.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Costa?
Yes, I'm done with him for now.
Any other topics, 1 through 8? Thank you, Mr. Costa. Thank you, Mr. Costa. Thank you. Good night.
Number 6?
We did number 6.
We didn't do number 6.
Safe proms.
We didn't do number 6. I'm sorry,
I mean, number 5,
sixth
sorry.
grade.
5.
6th grade drug prevention.
Right. Last year, we found out that they were selling marijuana to our 6th graders,
Who's they?
7th graders, grade graders. They're selling drugs to our 6th graders. And so I want to know, I know that what I had requested that we had a DOE video be presented to the parents and the students when school starts or before school starts, because it teaches you what truly happens to the brain when you smoke marijuana at such a young age. Mrs. Adams saw the video for the first time last year and was impressed by what it taught her. She's now showing that video to all the teachers at the beginning of school to make them aware of what can happen to their own family kids and to students in our district, what happens to the brain. So my question is, what are we doing? Are we showing that DOE tape to the parents and the children before school starts so they're prepared of a year when a child might be asked for drugs? Or if you're not doing that, what are you doing?
Can I just make a suggestion before?
Microphone.
Microphone,
I just think that I'll yell because this one's broken, unfortunately. I think that's the perfect opportunity for the coalition, who's dealing with a lot of the situation of the drug situation we've had, to get involved and talk to parents and see what their thoughts are on that. I personally don't believe that we should be forcing any parent to be watching a video if their child may not particularly be ready for that.
Well, they have the option. They have the option of, at that point, they have the option of not coming, just like they have the option when they teach reproduction.
Just to clarify, though,
this is a personal. This is personal. This is not about children.
I understand that. That's why I said we should ask the parents, and I think the coalition would be a perfect place. But just to clarify, the last time we spoke about this, you wanted to mandate it on 6th grade orientation.
Right.
So I'm just saying that I don't think it should be something that's mandated. I think that as a parent of an almost 6th grader next year, I don't think my child is ready to have other than a simple discussion, which I've already had with him about drugs. I don't think he's ready for the brain chemistry activity and the other things that are presented. That's just my opinion. I think all parents should have the option, and I think the coalition is a great place for that to take place.
Well,
that's just my thoughts.
Okay, but they show a reproduction tape. I mean,
I
reproduction.
don't necessarily agree with that either. I think that's a parent's thing.
Well, then a parent can opt them out.
I'm not arguing, I'm just saying
Okay, I am concerned about the 95% of parents that would like to see that tape. I'm not concerned about the 5% of the parents that think they can tell their teachers
We should be
teach your
concerned with all
children.
parents.
No, I'm concerned about the 95% of parents that want to see that tape, that want to educate themselves to help their own
I
children.
never said that. I just said I think it's a great thing for the coalition.
The coalition cannot get that done before this year, and nor would I be so concerned if there were not drugs being given to our 6th graders.
That's what we tasked them with. I was at the meeting. We tasked them with the whole drug problem.
Drugs were given to 6th graders and they bought it.
I'm just saying.
It's not acceptable.
At the coalition.
Not acceptable. Let's educate.
I'm not saying it's acceptable. I don't know why you're yelling at me. All I said was the coalition, we tasked them with dealing with the drug
Now, what you're saying is because you don't want to tell your child to learn, you don't want any other child to learn.
That's not what I said, Lee. Don't put words in my mouth. What I said was I think all parents should be talking about.
Get on with the meeting, please.
I think all parents should
This
be
is a board
asked.
discussion.
I think that the parents should be asked and the coalition should be tasked with getting that information. That's all I said. That's all I said. I never said that I didn't want to offer that. I said the coalition should be tasked with getting involved with the parents and finding out what they want. That's all I said.
Okay. What's next?
No one.
Any other?
Or the coalition.
All right, we'll go to athletics. Any comments? No comments. All right, the coalition.
Yay, come on. I'm having notes like it says something.
Connetquot Cares Community Coalition.
Connetquot Cares.
Connetquot Cares.
Yeah, really. So we met for the second time. I missed the first meeting. That was Kim, so I'll throw her under the bus for the first one. But the second time that we met, we came up with the name and we came up with some umbrellas that we wanted to do.
Well, it's going to do many things. So one of the primary motivators is drug and alcohol awareness, but it'll also encompass bringing community groups together, like all the civics, that type of thing. It'll address senior citizen issues. So, we're just not, our focus is just not narrowed, to drug and alcohol awareness, although that's the driving factor.
And some of the things that we'll do is a referral service too. Some of the things that the coalition can't handle or that another group already does. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So if it's a civic issue, we will bring in the civics and ask them to handle the issue. If it's a PTA issue, we will bring in the PTAs and ask them to do it. Who was the teacher? What was the teacher's name that yellow thunder?
Oh, that was Lorraine that did the pie thing? Yeah, that was Lorraine Pincus.
So she had this beautiful chart of how to do it and that she had created, and it had all these branches off of it, and almost like a referral service. And that if we could actually have a room in one of the buildings, we could bring in maybe a lawyer pro bono a couple hours a week, and if there was lawyer services that maybe a family in need needed, this lawyer could do that. So things like that. But our main focus and our grant money that we would be able to do would be about the drug awareness in this community and stopping it. Where we would be in with Suffolk County Police Department, Tim Sinney, his name is, say that 5 times fast. The reserves as well, and
LICAD.
Who?
LICAD, which
Yes.
is the Long Island organization
Right.
on drug awareness and abuse.
So as far as showing those kind of movies, I have to say that I did attend that movie, and I come from Central Islip, so that's a town that had a lot of drugs growing up. So I feel like I'm pretty informed about drugs. They did a thing in the Duffield School, and I knew what Special K was, and a lot of people didn't. What I didn't know from this film, and I have to say was very enlightening, that the marijuana today, 70% of the seized marijuana, this really just resonated with me, is laced with methamphetamine. So unless you're growing it in your own backyard, which is illegal, these kids don't even know what they're smoking anymore, and they're getting hooked. So would it be a great idea for kids? As long as the parents thought it was great, I thought it was a great idea. I love seeing it, and the next time you show one of those, I'm dragging my kids with me. But it is a parental decision. I think that should be left up to the parents.
Just so you know, we did, on the advice of some outside organizations, discuss mandating seeing certain things or having to be present at certain lectures by both parents and child in order to attend different events in Connetquot. So I don't think we're really on the same page right now, because you're talking about, I understand, but that's what we're talking about. Smithtown, for
But not at 6th grade. We're talking about like the senior prom level.
Well, we're talking high school.
Right.
My suggestion,
I think it's fantastic for high school.
but then
No,
my
but there are some
suggestion is
schools.
opt out.
I don't think that's a
Like,
sixth grade.
as a parent, you can opt out.
I
Just
teach
like,
6th grade. But
okay.
I teach 6th grade. I've done it for 17 years. I don't think that level, that program
Okay,
is appropriate.
can you
He
say
never saw the
something?
video
We're
to
just
make that
saying,
decision.
you can opt out. You can opt out of the HIV, you could opt out of the reproduction, like you don't have to have your child be there.
I think they should
Okay,
have to
so
opt
call
in.
it what you
I think
are.
they should have to opt out.
But anyway, let's get back to what we're doing. So,
I understand that.
well,
It's a parental decision.
we hope that we will be able to, I know everybody wants to move on, so We hope that we will be able to work hand in hand with the district. Ms. Adams sits as an honorary trustee, so, we have her to run by some of our ideas. We have Don Flynn sitting there, who came up with some great ideas too. But we're right in the beginning. So no, we couldn't help you with your film because we're not that organized yet.
Not yet, right. We just created our umbrellas
thing is,
and we're moving forward from there.
But Eileen, Panico, you know that we received a packet, you and I received a packet going into the high school. We had a military, we decided our child should get contact by military. There was also AIDS, there was a couple of things in there.
Absolutely.
That if you signed it, your child's name would be taken off the list.
Correct.
So why would this be any different? If I don't choose to have my child see this film, I sign it.
Correct.
If I want my
That's
child
what
to
we're
see
saying.
it,
No,
then
that's
I
what
don't
we're
do
saying.
anything.
Well, you could do it the opposite way too, as Nick said. You could say,
Call it an opt-in.
opt in, you don't see, no one sees it unless they sign the paper. It doesn't matter, either way. It should be a parental decision, I agree.
These are the type of things and recommendations that we're not just coming up with by ourselves. We have people sitting there that are very involved in the field on multiple levels, and those are the suggestions that we're getting from them and the things they have seen in other school districts that have made a difference.
Right.
So
Just read
that's
this.
what we're doing.
Just this year in OVMS.
But we're not ready to show film.
No,
I understand it, but
we're not
I
ready
just
to
think
show
that your input from the
We
coalition
just
is
got our
important
EIN
for us to
number,
hear.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was my point, is that you guys have been tasked with the drug problem and trying to help with it, and I think the coalition will do a
Right.
great job with that.
But if you're gonna do a film and like the one that Linda showed, and you wanna get it done this year, it wouldn't go to the coalition, it would stay with you.
And-
And you could do it either way, opt in, opt out, I don't care, but I have to say that was a great film.
And also note that any suggestions that come out of this coalition obviously go to the superintendent, who decides whether to make a recommendation to, to the board or not. We're just not going to tell you what to do. So that's why we hope that you would work. We hope that you might work together. Thanks a lot. Look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving on to recommended action, financial matters, numbers 1 through 7.
Well, Ms.
2 through 7.
Ms. Sharon Donnelly, I did have some questions to you, some of which Eileen
Can't hear you.
Panico had asked.
You need a motion first, motion. I got a second. Any questions?
Sharon, so Eileen Panico did touch on some of the questions that I had. I had another question regarding the school lunch, $118,000. So do I wait for my questions until you finalize with audit reports? The other thing I did see, and I can't, and I agree with Eileen, I don't see it changing all that much, is the $17 million. That
21.
between the revenue and expenditures, that we have a plus of $17 million. So I do anticipate that number changing that much before we go further, and how we're going to appropriate that.
I would expect them to have a similar results
The last year was roughly 6. So the 17 million just really caught my eye because you had expenditures at 158 and I'm going up to 159 mil, and then revenue at 172. So I mean that's pretty significant.
That's because we didn't have the books closed yet, we didn't have a lot of expenditures reported. I'm expecting that our expenditures will be more in the range of 160 to 170 million. But we're still in the process of closing, we're not there yet, the auditors just came this week.
Now we're looking at the lunch aid 118. Is that should be a little bit close to accurate on that, right?
Again, that's part of the audit, so I'm looking at 120, but I do
Well, yeah.
expect that they will.
I had 118 for that. Now the lunch aid fund, what was the deficit of last year roughly?
100
So what's around that?
Thank you.
And then one other question, and I know it's jumping the gun, but I figure I'll just ask it now, since we're talking about budgetary. I noticed that there was a budget transfer of $10,000 to pay a legal bill. My question is, why didn't we just take it out of the line item? I think that we have 4 budget line items that are dedicated to legal. How come we just didn't pull it from one of those and transfer to pay the bill?
In all likelihood, because those were already encumbered for their specific legal purpose.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on to consent. Oh, we got to vote. I'm sorry, we got to vote. Numbers 2 through 7. Motion? the consent agenda. Numbers 2 through 28. Can I get a motion?
Motion?
Motion. Second. Are there any questions?
I have a question and I have a pull.
Okay.
So I want to pull number 4 for a separate vote.
Can I have a motion to pull item number 4?
Motion?
Second. All right. So we pulled number 4. What else, Mylan?
And I have a question regarding the APPR implementation.
APPR.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Yes.
Question?
Okay, tell us a little bit about it, and was the union part of this certification or certification?
This is just a pro forma form that needs to be certified to the state, that we, as a district, actually implemented the APPR that is in the state portal right now, and that does satisfy 3012C, which was the law that we were operating under last year for APPR. So this just basically says that we, as a district, fully implemented the document that was duly signed by the board and the CTA that is already in the portal that satisfies 3012C. This is pro forma.
Is the contract going up online?
Hey, Mylan?
All right, so then we're going to take number 4 for a separate vote, is that correct?
Correct. So you have a motion and a second on the table for 2.
There could be discussion on this.
Discussion
Any
on
questions other than number 4? Anybody have any other questions other than number 4?
Yeah, I don't know anything other than 4. I do have a question on 4. Can't hear you.
2 through 28, excluding number 4, motion and second on the table.
Okay, can I have a motion for items 2 through 28, except for item number 4? Do we have a motion?
We already have a motion to take, and we just need to do one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we move to item number 4.
Number 4, section.
Any discussion?
Yes, I personally would like to table it. I think the letter is warranted. However,
Can't hear you, Lee.
the letter is warranted, but it doesn't meet all board members' expectation. I believe there should be another paragraph in it.
I'm abstaining from that because I don't feel every measure was taken to evaluate the process. The letter, I believe, is only a reflection on 3 of the board members. It wasn't an input of the entire board. We couldn't agree on putting something together. So I also advocated for this process to be investigated through an outside service.
No, I just want it to be tabled so we can go over and discuss an extra paragraph that should be put on there.
I didn't use anything. Am I allowed to say that, Mr. Garcia, that I don't feel that every initiative was taken in this process? So can I give the opinion and say that I wish an outside investigator had taken a look at this particular matter?
Yes.
Yes.
Am I allowed to say that? Yes.
Thank you.
There's a question about a table. A motion has to be made.
Okay, can I make a motion to
Okay,
table it?
you can. It doesn't need a second, and then there's a vote. There can't be any discussion with regard to the table.
A motion to table this.
So do you need a majority to table it, or does it go
You need a
forward?
majority to table.
We have a vote on the motion.
Correct.
A motion to table, which does not require a second under Robert's rules. So now there's a vote to table. If you get 3 votes, it's tabled. If you don't get 3 votes, then you move on the motion itself.
I'm just going to go on record that I'm abstaining. I don't believe in
You can't-
tabling.
There's a motion to table. There's no discussion.
Okay, so
You don't.
I'm saying no to the table, but I'm abstaining.
Just the table.
First you have the yeas.
She said
then
no,
the
I say
nays,
no.
And then the abstain.
Okay, I'm saying no to the table.
No. No. Okay, so we're not tabling it.
You have to do a motion and second to vote.
Now you can have discussion on the main motion.
I just want to go on record that I believe an investigation by an outside company should have taken care of this situation, so I'm going to abstain. I don't agree with the letter, I don't agree with the verbiage of the letter, and I don't think it accurately accounts of what happened.
And I will second that.
What do you mean you second this?
I'll second what she had to say rather than having to go to say the same thing myself.
She's abstaining also.
Let's vote then.
What lady you talking about? It's personnel issue.
Let's vote. I vote yes.
Let's get into a motion.
Motion? Motion to vote on.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
No, it's not an aye, it's a 3 and a 2. There's a 3 votes
3
yes,
ayes and 2 nays,
2 abstain.
2 abstain.
No, I said nay.
One abstention, one nay. Motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay. Now we're moving on to reports, correct? Correct? All right, reports. Miss Adams.
So it's been a very busy summer, and I'm very proud of the coalition and the work that we're doing with the community. It was something that was sorely needed, and I know that
Take the other microphone.
we brought, you can't hear me?
No, well,
Can you hear me now?
They can't.
So we've had 2 meetings of the coalition. Actually, we've had 3. That's on. We've had 3 meetings of the coalition. Mr. Ray Carta is currently the interim president. We have people, members of the community. We have members of our YFS staff. We have members of our teaching staff. We have administrative members, and we have members of the community of the anti-drug task force that have been part of this coalition, and it is really nice to see the community come together and rally around this in order to help save our children. Mrs. Kennedy spoke before about the video that was shown earlier this year, well, actually last school year, and not only are we bringing the video back, but we are actually bringing Dr. Dewey himself back for Superintendent's Conference Day, because we think it was that important that all of our constituents have the opportunity to see that. So all of our teachers who are not math teachers K through 5 will be involved in that training, as well as training on stress and the young adult mind. So it's a really exciting opening that will happen next week on September 1st. We have begun a relationship with Teachers Federal Credit Union through Brian Frank, who is our Director of Social Studies and Business. But it was precipitated by Dr. Gail Colden, because she wanted to bring things that have been coming out of the steering committee, which one of the things that came out of the steering committee and the graduate profile committee was financial and fiscal awareness for all of our students as they leave the district. So she reached out to Teachers Federal Credit Union, and there will be a pilot banking program begun at Boston Elementary School this year. And if it is successful, we will roll that out into other avenues. Teachers Federal Credit Union will partner with us in our business academy and also our business council. We are beginning our 2nd annual New Teacher Academy. It's going to be inclusive of both of our first-year teachers and our second-year teachers. First-year teachers will be working with myself and Elise Salvaggio, who is our new teacher mentor, who we're excited to partner with. We will be working on lesson design and building the capacity of our new teachers in our first year, and our second-year folks and our first-year folks will get CPI training, which is conflict prevention and intervention training, which Mrs. Manzi has been doing an amazing job this summer. She actually delivered instruction to over 150 teachers and TAs in the district for conflict prevention, and she will be doing that training as well with our brand new teachers, which is really very exciting. Also on Superintendent's Conference Day, we will be having our math training, K through 5, will be rolling out, which is another exciting event that's happening on that day. And that's really what's going on right now.
Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Does anyone else have anything to report? Where are we? All right, anyone on the board?
I can say that Lee and I attended the scope dinner, and we had the privilege of sitting with Valley Stream that night district. Normally we sit with our own district, but unfortunately we came a few minutes late. But I think we had a good conversation with Valley Stream, right?
Right, yeah.
I thought it was very informative. The gentleman actually sent me a book on the rules and laws of Board of Education, and I thought it was great. How much was the cost to attend that night, Andrea, if you didn't show up?
Whatever
$75?
I have no problem reimbursing the district for the money. Seriously, Lionel? I was on vacation with my family.
This is a joke.
Why did you, I didn't single you out, I didn't.
You didn't have to. Really? I'll give you the money too.
No, that's okay, I don't think it's sweetheart.
We have a little bit of respect up there, just a little bit. Wow. You know, you don't have to like each other, but respect is really important.
I agree.
There's no one against anyone, miss.
That's not the way I see it.
I see it the same way.
Would you like to talk to me after the meeting?
Yeah.
Please do. Please do.
But you know what, there is nothing.
All right, we're moving into the next public comment.
So you don't want to say anything?
Say anything about what?
You don't want to tell us what you're fighting about. We see the Board of Ed fighting. You just said you wouldn't fight.
Right, I
That's
committed to
smiling.
go
We're
into
not
a dinner
fighting.
and I was unable to attend. And that cost the district $60. That's what that was about.
Change here.
You got to vote in May.
Because I think that's what this district needs, is a change, a new board who's impartial.
You should know who's trying to help the district and who's not. That's what you should try to figure out. No, it's a fact.
Now, we got two great coaches here, but you know what?
We have many great coaches here. All right, public comment.